What's up, everybody? How are we? Welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda. As always, I'm your host Craig, and it is a pleasure to be here with you all. Weather's not great today. I don't know how it is where you are, but in Ireland it's definitely not looking like a summer's day today. There is a load of news to get through on tonight's show. I've got my information ready. I'm sure you guys have some topics ready you'd like to go through as well. So yeah, let's get straight to it without any more hanging about or no intros today. Just bang into the middle of it. So I wanted to have a chat around the scrapping of the away goals rule, which has been confirmed today. This is something that UEFA have been talking about for a while now, but the news was confirmed officially today that the away goals rule in all European competitions will be scrapped as of, well, effective immediately. So going into the new Champions League, Europa League campaigns, no more away goals. And the president of UEFA has been speaking, and this is what he had to say. The away goals rule has been an intrinsic part of UEFA competitions since it was introduced in 1965. However, the question of its abolition had been debated at various UEFA meetings over the last few years, although there was no unanimity. The motherfuckers weren't sure whether it was the right thing to do or not, and nobody always agreed. So let's move on from that. No, but get this right, unanimity. Although there was no unanimity of views, many coaches, fans and other football stakeholders have questioned its fairness and have expressed a preference of the rule to be abolished. So, God almighty, I mean, I really struggled with that word, didn't I? Of all the words, like, it's not even that big, but look, you got the gist of it. No more away goals rule. And look, I don't know how I feel about this yet. You know, it's so typical of football and the world in general that something gets brought in to change something and then something gets brought back to exactly where it was before the thing was brought in to change the other thing. Now, as somebody who, you know, has watched Liverpool suffer at the hands of away goals and benefit from the hands of away goals at time, I have to say the only time it ever really annoyed me was when it goes into extra time. I always felt like that was a bit unfair on the away team because the home team got an unfair advantage then once the game went into extra time, meaning if the away team, the away team got an unfair advantage, meaning if the away team scored, the home team had to score too. So from that perspective, okay, but to me, and it's just my opinion, it would have made more sense to scrap it for the extra time. Keep the away goals rule. If it goes into extra time, then just get rid of it and the game goes as is. But UEFA have made their decision and at least it's going to be more transparent and easy to figure out. And look, who knows? Maybe it will lead to home teams being a bit more attacking and not just trying to pinch an away goal and shutting up shop. So look, that remains to be seen. But what we do know for certain is UEFA have made their decision and there was no unanimity. Let's just say that no unanimity anywhere. Wasn't an ounce of unanimity to be had. See, I can't say the word eventually. But yeah, how do you guys feel about it? For the away goal rule, against it? Not that it matters how any of us feel at this moment in time because it's been scrapped. What have we got in the chat? So UEFA just suck, says Liz. They love changing things, don't they? I mean, are we ever going to get one season where we don't have a rule change, another major rule change in football? They're always tweaking with something, aren't they? Always messing about with it, trying to make it better, trying to change this, trying to change that. How about just letting us know what the offside and the handball rules are? That would be a good start, wouldn't it? Let's just concentrate on them and making sure that VAR is implemented properly before we start fucking around with even more rules. That would be my humble opinion on it, UEFA, but there you go. Right, I genuinely quite like it, to be honest, just my opinion. Yeah, look, I mean, what we can say for certain is, Scott, we'll have to get used to it, mate. One way or the other, we'll find out if it's a good or a bad thing. And at least it's clear. So, you know, at least it's very easy to figure out now. There's no, because we all have mates or, you know, we all have people that don't really watch football and we have to try and sit down and explain the away goals rule to them. And it does seem a bit strange when you explain it some of the time. But look, we know that it's not there anymore now. So the Liverpool are just going to have to go and win the Champions League this year without any away goals rule in it. So there you go. Craig, I don't think we need to sign MALEN. I don't think we will sign MALEN, because of Raiola. I'll get on to that in a couple of minutes, dude. Don't worry. Liz, thank you for the super chat. Said, happy early birthday to Mrs. Sabrina Holden, the legend. Hope you have a lovely day tomorrow. Yes, thank you, Liz. Much appreciated. And I will pass that sentiment on to my good lady wife. Yes, she does turn 40 tomorrow. And I won't be streaming live tomorrow. But the good news is I did record 2 videos today that Connor's going to be putting out for you guys tomorrow. One is this week's One Football News Show, which goes through all the latest stories around Liverpool regards to transfers and stuff like that. And the other is a video that we've done in partnership with Manscaped, which is basically your unpopular Liverpool opinions that I react to. So those videos will both be out tomorrow, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. As I speak, Mr. Crosby is editing them up now to get them out tomorrow. So again, make sure you've got your notifications turned on. I think one at lunchtime and one in the evening. Right, let's keep going. I'm going to go through them in the order I have them in my notes today, because I always forget. I always finish the stream and then look through my notes and go, you should have done them in order, you moron, because you forgot one. So let's start with this one. Octavio linked with Liverpool. So let's have a little look-see here. So Porto midfielder Octavio is the latest name to be linked with a move to Liverpool. A Portuguese newspaper reports this. Fiorentina and Valencia are both interested in the lad as well. And he has a release clause of €60 million, but he can be signed for €40 million before the end of June. It's weird how some of these things work, isn't it? I've got to say, again, know nothing of Octavio. Haven't watched much of Porto other than the little bit of Marco Grujic that I see here or there. Not the only Porto player that we've been linked to. As you know, Vieira is another guy that we've been linked to recently. And I don't know if the links to Porto players are there because of their interest in signing Marco Grujic on a permanent basis, or because Liverpool genuinely have interest in some Porto players. But again, dubious to say the least would be my reading of this scenario. Liverpool want, I think, around £15 million for Marco Grujic. We know Porto is Oliveira, a player they're looking to move on to free up that money for Marco Grujic, and you know, maybe this is the Portuguese side trying to tempt Liverpool into having a look-see at one or two other players, or perhaps there could be some truth in it. Again, for me, seems a little bit dubious, but you know, as always, this is a conversation, so I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think there's any truth to this? Octavio not going to happen. He's 26, said Haler. I agree. I mean, okay, we have signed players of that age before, but it's not the usual. It's not the norm for Liverpool, is it? Usually 23, 22, 24, 21, something around that. And yes, Thiago was older, but when stuff like that presents itself as an opportunity, you have to act, particularly at the 25 million that we paid for him. Octavio not going to happen. I've done that one. He's 25 or 26. He's 26, mate. He's 26. And yeah, they've listed Italian clubs as having an interest in him, but as I say, he has a buyout clause of €60 million, but for some reason, and I'm sure that there is a reason, I just don't know what it is, €40 million will buy him before the end of June. But again, one that I say is dubious to say the least. So I don't think there's much substance to it either, to be honest. But as always, I try and bring you the most published or the most talked about Liverpool news stories of the day. Mr. Jury said 26 ain't too old. No, it isn't, but it's not the norm for us. So I would agree with you. 26, I mean, a player probably has 7 years left in his career minimum at that point. But for us and the way that we go about signing players, it's usually somebody maybe even 25, 24, and then, you know, turn them into a really, really, really good player under the coach and the Klopp and so, and, you know, the value goes up. So there you go. Thoughts on the ESL possibly hurting Liverpool's transfer options? I don't see how it can, unless I've missed something, D-Man. I mean, the European Super League's dead in the water. I know that recently Juan Laporta, the Barcelona president, has come out and said that Liverpool and Manchester United were actually at the forefront of talks around the European Super League, but I don't know what you mean by how it could affect our transfer options. I mean, FSG have already said that they themselves will be ponying up the dough for any fines or anything that Liverpool pick up for it, and rightly so, because it was their shit show of an idea in the first place to sign us up for it without any consultation with anybody. So, yeah, I don't know if it will or not. But then again, the whole transfer business for us at the minute is shrouded in mystery, isn't it? There's not really too much that we know for certain, other than we have signed Ibrahima Kanade for 36 million quid, which is great. Welcome to the club. We do know that Queven Kelleher has signed a new contract. I'll be talking about that in more detail later on in the stream. Just don't give your man the attention that he wants in the chat there, folks. Just one of the mods will boot him out. I'm not even going to read his comments anymore. He's wasting his own time, so just ignore him. Right, what have we got? Liverpool will bend over backwards for Rafinha. Yes, I'm sure they would, mate. But I don't think that Leeds will sell him this year. And I think it would take an unholy amount of money to tempt Leeds to sell him. And unholy amounts of money ain't something that we have at this moment in time. Or at least something that the owners are willing to pony up. Username said I love Barea. So would I. Nicola Barea is a wonderful footballer. I mean, had a great season with Inter Milan, having a good Euros with Italy. I've spoken about him numerous times and saying that, you know, again, probably wishful thinking from our point of view, because I'm sure Inter would demand top dollar from him. But yeah, he's a very, very good player, and somebody who, I've said before, I'm often nervous signing players from Italy, but not with this guy. I could see this guy, he kind of... I've often spoken about my admiration for Variety, a player who I knew could come in and pretty much play in any team. And Barea seems like the type of guy as well who he could drop into almost any team, any system, and he'd be effective because he's a fine footballer. Craig, hope your day's been good. It's been okay, Andrew. It's been alright, mate. It's been busy, but it's been okay. Right, a lot of people asking about Caoimhín Kelleher's new contract. Caoimhín Kelleher, aka the Conor Crosby lookalike, because, a lot of you guys may not have seen Conor, but they do look very similar. Caoimhín Kelleher signed a new contract with the club, and as always, it's put out there that it's a new long-term contract. The club don't really like to give out the length of these contracts, although usually 4 or 5 years. But Caoimhín Kelleher, if you're not aware, signed from Ringmahon Rangers in Cork. He was playing as a striker up until the age of 15. Then he swapped over to become a goalkeeper. And Liverpool signed him. And look, the rest is history. And today he signed an approved contract. And this is what he had to say. I'm happy to get it over the line. I'm finally done. It was in the pipeline for a few months with negotiations and stuff. So I'm delighted to get it done. For me, it was a positive moment to commit my future to the club for the next few years. It's such a big club and it's an honour to be part of it. When I get the chance to sign for a few more years, I was obviously delighted. I just want to keep my progress going at the club, really. Straightforward, simple, and yeah, there you go. So exactly what you'd expect to hear, exactly what you'd want to hear from Caoimhín Kelleher, and we wish him all the best because I really believe this lad has the tools to succeed as a goalkeeper. So, let's see what the game time will be from this season. He is the club's number 2 now. He has moved ahead of Adrian in the pecking order, and I think rightly so. And delighted for him. Yeah, also he's a fellow Irishman, so always looking out for him. And yeah, I hope he does do well. I really, really do. And a great day for him, a great day for us Irish, and I hope long term he'll cement himself as Ireland's number 1 goalkeeper, as well as maybe challenging Alisson down the line for that Liverpool shirt. So yeah, well done to Caoimhín. Congratulations on a new well-deserved contract. Craig, who's the player that you most want to sign for Liverpool? Usually the answer there would be MBAPPE, but I'm torn between him and Jude Bellingham. Now, one of them is probably infinitely more realistic than the other, although still going to cost a whole load of money. But either of those two would be my dream signings made for Liverpool and have been. MBAPPE, look, I will talk about MBAPPE on tonight's stream, and usually I stay clear of it because look, it's really far-fetched and I don't think it's going to happen. But there have been at least some changes to the situation there. So let me move on through my notes till I get to this one. So there's a story doing the rounds today that apparently it comes from Marca, who are a Spanish mouthpiece for Real Madrid, basically. But they've been saying, they put it out there that he's told Paris Saint-Germain that he's not going to sign a new deal and he wants to leave, and that basically it's fallen on deaf ears from the Qatari owners of Paris Saint-Germain, who, I don't know if they're just sticking their fingers in their ears and go la 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 la, but the ball is in his court. He has 1 year left on his Paris Saint-Germain contract. If they don't sell him, then he can walk on a free next season. And where he goes, that remains to be seen. Most people believe he'll end up at Real Madrid. That could well be the case. We know Florentino Perez, as per Sergio Ramos, is doing everything he can to try and get Kylian Mbappe over there. Look, Liverpool have been linked to the guy, but we all know realistically that there's not a chance in hell that we'll be able to pay 600, 500 grand a week on his wages. You could make the argument that maybe Nike could come on board and help out in some way, or that it could be done some way, shape or form, but it's kind of fanciful thinking, realistically, isn't it? What makes it, I think, a little bit frustrating for us is that this is a summer where he's available for maybe, let's say, 100, 120 million quid because he is in the last year of his contract. And it's very easy. It's very easy to get on board the hype train. It's very easy to put the thumbnails out there and all the titles and stuff, but it's not going to happen. But then again, he does have to go somewhere. And I think the fact that he does have to go somewhere and that Real Madrid are not in a financial position that maybe they were in years gone by, and obviously they have the whole Super League thing hanging over them, and the UEFA investigation into that around Juventus, Barcelona and Real Madrid has been suspended for the time being. I think there's a few legal challenges going on perhaps behind the scenes. So look, wait and see what happens is all I can say. The only thing I will say is that PSG have again been rumoured to be looking at the likes of Harry Kane and Mohamed Salah if Kylian Mbappe does move on. And, you know, reading into the whole situation with Mohamed Salah right now, yesterday I said to you guys that Liverpool have said that Kanade and Salah won't be going to the Olympics for, you know, I think fairly obvious reasons. But there's a report out today that suggests that Mohamed Salah is going to make one last attempt to convince Jurgen Klopp to allow him to go. And look, I've often said he's a very proud Egyptian, and rightly so. And he may want to go and play in the Olympics with Egypt. But the club want to err on the side of caution, particularly around his fitness. So I hope he doesn't go personally from a purely selfish perspective. But most importantly, I hope that the club resolve everything with him and sign him up to a new contract, because he only has 2 years left on his Liverpool deal, and we don't want him going into a new season running down a contract. We just don't want that happening. We don't want to be in PSG's position that they have with MBAPPE now, with Mohamed Salah a year down the line. So, you know, we hope it can be smoothed out, and we hope that there's no resentment or bad feelings between the two parties, because we all want Mo to stay. But if they do lose Mbappe, Harry Kane and Salah are the two names that have been most mentioned as somebody that both Mauricio Pochettino and the PSG board would look at as a potential replacement. So again, let's just wait and see how everything figures out. I don't know. We'll get to MALEN in a couple of minutes, Thomas. Don't worry about that, mate. I've got some stuff to talk about on Danielle Marlon as well. I heard from a very good source Mbappe's wanting to join Leeds and learn off Bielsa. You know, some of that's funny, mate, but the learning off Bielsa part, look, I really rate Bielsa as a manager. I think most top coaches, or anyone that knows anything about football, knows how highly Marcelo Bielsa is thought of in the world of football. He's his philosophies and some of the tactics he's implemented have been almost revolutionary, to say the least, and the in-depth analysis that he does is legendary. So, I mean, I'll never mock the man. I mean, obviously Mbappe not going to go to Leeds, but, you know, Bielsa is a top-class coach. Mr. Jury said, Salah is a club legend. I hope he stays for a few more years. As do I. I mean, none of us want Mohamed Salah to leave. None of us whatsoever. I want to give a shout-out, though, to Sadio Mane, who, you know, at a time when a lot of footballers are on the holidays and, you know, having a well-earned break and living it up on yachts or staying in fancy hotels or renting houses or whatever it is that rich people do. I wouldn't know, me being a mere pauper, but Sadio Mane is over in Senegal and he's, helping build a hospital with a 450 grand donation and visiting friends, and it just goes to show again, we're so lucky as a club to have wonderful people representing our club. You know, Jordan Henderson, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, just Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, just so many fine human beings as well as top-notch footballers that it always warms my heart when I see these guys out there doing that type of stuff. So to Sadio, mate, have a great holiday, enjoy yourself, and we look forward to seeing him back in, hopefully back to his best in the new season. Wijnaldum is not a club legend in my opinion, said Cohen Bills. Look, the term club legend, I suppose, mate, it's open to interpretation, isn't it? What may be a club legend to one person may not be a club legend to another person. So I won't jump down your throat at that one. But what I will say is, Wijnaldum was a massive part of the success we had at Liverpool, and he's Mr. Consistency both on the pitch and from a reliability of being available for selection and his fitness. So I'll always look back at Genie's time at Liverpool and just think of that glowing smile of his. So I love Genie. But is he a great? I don't know. To me, everyone that won the Premier League in some way is a great. Everyone that wins a European Cup in some way is a great. But of course, he won't be up there with the Steven Gerrards, with the Kenny Dalglish's, with the Graham Souness, with the Phil Thompsons. You know, all these great players that we've been lucky enough to have go through those corridors at Melwood and Anfield over the years. So yeah, but look, Genie's great. I'm still annoyed he left. I mean, I really, really am. Talking about midfielders is great, but we've just let go a really, really, really good midfielder who, by the sounds of it, actually wanted to stay at Liverpool Football Club. So, yeah, strange one, that one. Mane legend, said Cedric Lopez. Yeah, look, it really does warm the heart, doesn't it, when you see these guys doing stuff like that, because, you know, they don't forget where they come from, and we sometimes don't understand how hard these guys have to fight to make it to the level that they're at now. Like Mohamed Salah getting multiple buses to go to football training, Suarez and other players from the past saying that they couldn't afford boots when they were younger. I mean, we'll never understand, I think, a lot of us, the level of poverty that some guys have come from. And, you know, it just it lifts my spirits when I see people doing stuff like that. Even Daka, who was linked to Liverpool but is going to Leicester City, seeing him making donations to a clinic that helped him out when he was younger in Zambia. I love this type of stuff. It's great to see players not forgetting where they came from. And yeah, there you go. Cormac Walsh says Goldbridge raid. Well, mate, you know, you're not supposed to do raids on your own. There's usually supposed to be a group of you, mate. But there you go. Welcome in, Cormac, nonetheless, mate. Lovely to have you here. Craig, do I think it's coming home? Do you know what I think? I think what most neutrals probably think, that you lose on penalties on Tuesday against the Germans. But it's a very interesting game, I will say that, because Germany have been up and down in this tournament. I mean, they were great in one game and average in two other games, so they're not the Germany of past. And if Gareth Southgate can get the mixture right between defending and attacking and the right personnel, it's at Wembley. You just never know. You never know. And I'll certainly be a very interested observer. And we'll be doing a watch along of it on Tuesday night here on the channel. So there you go. What else is there? Alphonso Davies was a refugee in Africa. Yeah, there you go. I mean, some of the success stories truly are inspiring, aren't they? I need Italy to win with Ronaldo top scorer, said David Newell. Well, you have a fair chance of both of them. I mean, I read somewhere today, I'm not sure if this is true. It's probably close to being true, but has Cristiano Ronaldo really broken 14 records already during this European Championships? I mean, just phenomenal. And that group last night, that Portugal, Germany, Hungary, France group was mental. Nobody could keep track of the table. It was just one minute you think, okay, you know what's going on, then there's a goal in the other game, then there's a goal back in this game, then the ref was dishing out penalties like confetti. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Right. The next topic that I'd like to discuss is why I think, after doing more research, and we've spoke about this guy a few times, if we're going to sign a midfielder, I'm going to go balls out and say that we should be signing Renato Sanchez. For every reason that you're probably expecting me to say. I've said it loads of times. He just ticks the boxes for a type of player that would be a Jurgen Klopp type of player. Somebody who, I won't say has failed previously, but stumbled previously when given the chance on the big stage. We've seen it with Mohamed Salah at Chelsea. Sometimes things just don't work out for reasons beyond people's control. So when I look at Renato Sanchez, and we've seen how good he's been for Portugal, we've seen how good he's been with Lille, he just seems like a perfect fit. So if we're going to sign a midfielder, and depending on who you read, midfielder seems to be a little bit down the list of priorities, even though Neuhaus has been linked to us every single day, I think Renato Sanchez is the way we need to go. And yeah, it might cost us 50 million euro, maybe a little bit more, but I think it would be 50 million euro well spent. And look, I've plucked that number out of my arse completely. It could be more, could be less, I've no idea. But he is the player for me now. I mean, I don't know enough about Neuhaus, so Neuhaus could be a masterstroke, or he could end up at Bayern Munich in a year's time. But Renato Sanchez, the more I think about it, the more I read stuff from Melissa Reddy and other journalists who go a little bit more in depth into the guy's, style of play and things like that. Yeah, sign him up, get him, go, thank you. Please and thank you, Jurgen Klopp, Michael Edwards. So yeah, that's where I'm laying all of my chips right now. I'm pushing him in, I'm all in on Renato Sanchez. But that doesn't mean we're going to sign him. That's just where I'd go. I'm not Jurgen Klopp. I'm not Michael Edwards. But what do you guys think? Because there's been a few players linked in that position. Obviously, Renato Sanchez, Neuhaus. At one point, Rodrigo de Paul was linked, but it's almost certain he's gone to Atletico Madrid for 35 million euro. Pellegrini was linked from Roma. Looks like, as I said to you guys, he's going to sign a new contract at Roma, and I never really believed those links anyway. Bissouma was another one that was linked to us, and look, I think Bissouma would actually be a good fit. But the price tag keeps going up and up and up there, and when you're buying from another Premier League club, there's usually a bit of a premium involved. Arsenal have been linked with him. I mean, Arsenal have been linked with James Maddison as well. I mean, I don't know where that's come out of, but they are looking like they're going to sign Ben White for around £50 million. So, I said to you guys last year, Ben White, keep an eye on this guy. He's somebody that's going to be a top quality centre-back, and Arsenal have made the move, and, they look like they're about to sign Ben White for about 14 million quid more than we paid for Canade. So I think, again, we've done really good business. I think when we look back at the signing of Ibrahima Konate, it'll seem like a bargain. It really will. But I do think Ben White will be a fine player. But Arsenal, it's a strange choice, that, isn't it? I mean, it's a step up, just about, from Brighton. Brandt or Tielemans for me, said Brooklyn. Yeah, Julian Brandt is certainly surplus to requirements, apparently, at Borussia Dortmund. He's 26 years of age now, I think, Julian Brandt, and somebody who seemingly rejected us before. But put it this way, mate. If he's not good enough for Dortmund, clearly he couldn't be good enough for Liverpool. I mean, that's the way I read it. Because, Dortmund have a pretty good sense of a footballer. They're good at spotting a talent. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to have really worked out from there. And at 26 years of age, I think that boat has sailed. Tielemans, look, we don't like Yuri Tielemans. I don't think any of us would have any complaints whatsoever if Liverpool went and signed Yuri Tielemans. But I also think, depending on how far Belgium go in this tournament, there could be a lot of clubs queuing up to have a look at Yuri Tielemans. And again, Leicester are a very difficult club to negotiate with. Great owners there, and usually get top dollar for their players. So I can see us paying what it would take to get Yuri Tielemans, and maybe Sanchez will be a bit more of a bargain signing. But that again all leads me back to full circle, where it's time for the double choo on Jude Bellingham. I mean, if the club said to us tomorrow, we're not signing any more players this summer, but we've got a deal in place to sign Jude Bellingham next year, I don't know how you guys would feel, but I mean, all of a sudden then, to me, the idea of Joe Gomez playing at right back if Trent's injured, I'd start to be a bit more open to the idea than I am currently with the idea of Nico Williams perhaps moving on. You will not get anyone. Go fuck yourself, Caleb. Hope that works for you, mate. Mate, people like you, just a pain in my arse. You know fuck all. You are a know-all that knows fuck all. Now do what you do normally, mate, and get back under the rock you crawled out from, you absolute fucking cabbage. I couldn't be bothered dealing with you, you idiot. Right, now, back to people who actually have brain cells. Our owners will never, ever sign Bellingham, said Mick Wall. I mean, I can't say you're right or wrong, Mick. I'm allowed to be optimistic, aren't I, as a Liverpool fan? But, yeah. See, there's a rule on this channel, by the way. So I know people often go to me, oh, you're mean to people. I never instigate it, though. I never start it. I'm never the one that starts a smart arse comment. But as I've always said, come into our chat, be friendly, you'll get the love back. Come in, chat shit, do one. Because we aren't interested. It's as simple as that. How's you? What did I miss? I just joined, said Kazari? We'll go back to it all, mate. Don't worry. I'm in no rush tonight. We've got lots of time. I started early today. Do you like the McGinn stories, or do you believe the McGinn stories? Said Fraser crying. Do I believe that Liverpool have looked at John McGinn and see a good footballer? Absolutely, because John McGinn is a very good footballer. When you think the fact that he was only 2.25 million when Villa signed him from Hibs, and how well he's progressed under Dean Smith there at Aston Villa, and how well he's looked for Scotland as well. Yes, he's a very, very good footballer, and apparently, I think James Pearce wrote a piece about this. If I'm wrong on who the journalist was, I apologise. I think it was James Pearce that said that Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp have been impressed by John McGinn. And look, that doesn't surprise me. As I said, he's had a good season. But the real issues come around when you hear Liverpool linked to a £50 million John McGinn. That's where I start to go, nah, I can't see that happening. As good a footballer as John McGinn is, I don't see Liverpool paying £50 million to Aston Villa for John McGinn. Nor do I see Aston Villa wanting to lose McGinn if they're staring down the barrel of maybe losing Jack Grealish this summer. So it's an odd one, isn't it? Because again, could be a bit of snobbery there because he's not John McGittinho from Brazil. But yeah, it's not very often that we do the paying a premium for a British player thing from another Premier League club. Yes, we did it with Oxlade-Chamberlain to some extent, but it sort of suited Arsenal as well to lose Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, whereas I don't think Villa will want to lose John McGinn. And if I was John McGinn, I mean, playing there at Villa Park in front of the Villa fans in the Premier League, some good footballers around me, I'd say he's probably quite happy, to be honest. Now, of course, if a big club comes in, all players will have to look at it and think, is it worth taking the risk? Am I good enough? And look, you don't get to the level that John McGinn and most of these guys are at without having belief in yourself. So this isn't me knocking McGinn, because McGinn's a fine footballer. It's more about the 50 million quid price tag. It just, as Mick said earlier on around Bellingham, to me this just doesn't seem something that our owners are most likely to do. Gravenberch would be insane, said Thomas. Again, that's the calibre where I could see it, mate. 18 years of age, Ajax player, and if you're at Ajax, you've got something about you. We know that. If you come through the Ajax Academy, which I think Gravenberch did, if I'm wrong on that, I apologise, but yeah, no idea how much he'd cost. But you would have to say, I look at Jude Bellingham, and he does seem like he's older than 17, if that makes any sense. He seems like he's much further along in his development. But Gravenberch, would he be one for the here and now or one for the future? It's a big step up from playing very well for Ajax in the Eredivisie, but to come to Liverpool, let's wait and see. But again, you can see the profile. You can put together the picture of why he could be linked and why he would be an appeal to Jurgen Klopp and our owners. So yeah. But it comes back to is he one for the here and now, or would it be a whole lot of money for somebody that may take time to mature and develop? Naby said gaming cool. Naby. Naby's the big question, isn't he? I can't even give an answer because I don't know if Naby will be fit 2 weeks into the season or not, and therein lies the big headache. I don't have many doubts about Naby's ability as a footballer, but we seem to have some issues with Naby's fitness when he's been at Liverpool. So there has been some tentative links to the likes of Leicester City and stuff that are interested in Naby Keita. I don't know. But, I think we would probably take a loss now if we sold Naby Keita. And the vibes that seem to be coming out are that Klopp's backing Naby Keita and that he'll be here next season. So I suppose all we can hope for is that Naby's fit and available, because, we were all really excited when we signed this guy. Looks like an absolute top-notch footballer, but we just haven't seen the best of him yet. So fingers crossed on Naby. I hope we're all sitting here next summer going, whew, what a season that was. Naby really did just come into his own. And look, that would make me extremely happy. As I keep saying, I have a framed Naby Keita shirt in the wall behind me. I was over the moon when we signed him. I thought it was a masterstroke, the way that Michael Edwards fought off competition from the likes of Bayern Munich to get Naby Keita done. But I wouldn't write him off yet, but I'm certainly more fearful than I was when we signed him that it mightn't work out. Is it true Sancho signed for United? Well, no, but he will. They're just going over the small details now. There's no issues with regards to Sancho's side of it with Manchester United. It's the clubs that are still talking. Once the clubs come to a fee, boom, that'll be done nice and quick. Now, I know my good friend Mark Olbers of the United Stand was putting 2 and 2 together and saying United's launching their new kit next week, coincide the two of them. You can see how that makes sense. So, yeah, he will be a Manchester United player, mate. Just a matter of when rather than if, I think. Would you pay 147 million for Haaland? Not saying we're going to get him. Well, yeah, of course. If I had the money there and I was Liverpool owners, yeah. But you're right, we won't. And that, by the way, those who are wondering why maybe we're talking about this specific number, that seems to be the number put out there. 175 million euro that Dortmund are going to ask for anyone who comes in for Erling Haaland this summer. And by anyone, I think most of us believe it'll be Chelsea that might put the offer down. Which is odd considering, from anyone's perspective, you can get him for 75 million euro next year. So 75 million euro is about what, 62, 63 million pound. So you're paying an 80 million pound premium to get the guy 1 year early. I think Chelsea could probably put an agreement in place with the lad to say, look, we want you, we'll get you next summer, we'll give you a bump in wages and stay at Dortmund another year. It just, I'm far from an accountant, but it's a lot of premium to pay for 1 year when Chelsea already have a really good group of young players coming through. Werner, look, hasn't been a great start for him, but he can only get better. Kai Havertz is starting to show what he can do. They've got Mason Mount, they've got Christian Pulisic, a lot of talented footballers. But if they want to get him this summer, it looks like that's going to be the fee that any interested club would have to pay Borussia Dortmund. Now, That leads me rather nicely into talking about Danielle Marlon. Danielle Marlon is somebody who reports suggest that Borussia Dortmund have singled out as the person that they would like to bring in to replace Erling Haaland. And then we come around to Liverpool's interest in him. It seems to be 25 million is the price tag to buy him. 40 goals in 81 appearances for PSV Eindhoven in the Eredivisie, and somebody who has been reported to be somebody Klopp views as a potential long-term successor to Bobby Firmino. So, big shoes to fill there, but £25 million? I mean, we were talking about Patson Daka last week and the numbers around that potential transfer. To me, this is another one where if you can move on Origi or Shaqiri, do it. Just do it. I mean, he was at Arsenal, I think, for 2 years when he was a youth player. They let him go and he moved on, went to Eindhoven, has established himself, had a very good season. He's at the Euros with the Netherlands. And yeah, I'd have no problem with it, particularly at that price. It's not much of a risk. Again, a lot of this, I hate saying this, by the way, but I'm going to say it again. A lot of our business will depend on the outgoings, and I'm still wondering how we always seem to be penniless. Every single summer we seem to be looking behind the sofa for a few quid, when other clubs who haven't done as well as us commercially, or at least from what we've been told, are out there dropping money left, right and centre on players. You see Manchester City putting in a £100 million bid for Harry Kane. You hear talk of them being interested in Jack Grealish. You've got Chelsea maybe looking at going out and spending £148 million on Erling Haaland. Manchester United about to drop, 75-80 million quid on Jadon Sancho. And here's us wondering if we can get together 25 million quid to sign Danielle Marlon, or if we could put together enough money to go and buy somebody like Yuri Tielemans from Leicester. I mean, we keep hearing great new commercial partnerships, record shirt sales, record revenue, great run in the league, television money, but we also get then the next sentence with, but, it's been a hard time, been a tough year, lots of loss. Fuck off. Just stop. Just admit that you're stingy bastards and we can all move on. Because the shit that we get spun by the owners, it really starting to piss me off. Because I guarantee you, what's going to come next are two things. Either we'll be told that we have to redo the players' contracts, and, we've got the second highest wage bill in the Premier League, and Van Dijk needs a new deal, and Salah needs a new deal, and Mane needs a new deal, and Fabinho needs a new deal, and Alisson needs a new deal. And that's all well and good. But you have to continuously fucking develop. You can't sit on your hands. The great Liverpool teams of the past always added a couple of good additions. Now, we've never been a club that goes out there and signs pre-made superstars. Van Dijk may be aside because we had the Coutinho money. Alisson, again, we had the Coutinho money. But this shit of telling us on one hand that we have money available in the future if a generational talent comes about, and then when it does come about, and this summer is that fucking summer, by the way, Erling Haaland, Jadon Sancho, Kylian Mbappe, maybe Jude Bellingham next summer, we get the spin of, but it's not the right time. When is the right time? Is there ever going to be a right time, or are you just PR spinning the shit out of everything as always? It's really annoying. It's really doing my head in. We're not idiots. Just admit you're stingy fuckers and we can all move on. Because this shit is doing my noggin in, I swear to God. Right, anyway, let's move on. And that's not a dig at anybody, and that's not a dig at the players we've been linked to, because, we know under Jurgen Klopp that he can develop players. We know Michael Edwards can do a good deal. We know Pep Linders is a great coach. We're aware of that. But at some point you've got to ask yourself, how much are FSG banking on Klopp's ability to do this against the ambition that we should realistically have? Do we have ambition? Because we've heard this before. We've been told that the club can match anybody. We've been told that the club can go out there and compete with the big clubs for players. It's great saying this, but pony up and act like it, or shut the fuck up. Stop lying to us. You didn't consult us on the Super League shit. We heard that Nike were coming in as kit manufacturer. We heard LeBron James was coming on board. Serena Williams was coming on board. Drake was coming on board. Loads of big plans. For what? Who have we signed? Where are the big plans? Where is the marquee name to go and sell 5 million Nike shirts around the world? We haven't seen it. We're not likely to see it. So, yeah, it's it's annoying. It really is annoying. And I think that the club they're just too reliant on Klopp's magic. And, that's great and all, but Klopp's no fool either. Klopp won't be spun a yarn all the time. He knows he's good. We know he's good. But, for us to be sustainably winning stuff, we do need to keep adding. But even with the penny pinch, Craig, we seem to get those great signings. Yeah, that's my point though, Jimmy. That Klopp is doing that with his scouting and the scouts that we have at the club. And Klopp's the one that's attracting a lot of these players in. And the idea of playing for Klopp is what's attracting them. And you are right, mate. I mean, our transfer business, all in all, has been pretty successful. And we've been very clever in the market. But what's the point of FSG and John W. Henry talking with Kylian Mbappe's family? And there's been reports that Klopp spoke with Kylian Mbappe's father. And before he signed for PSG, John W. Henry brought Kylian Mbappe round for a flight in his private jet and apparently tried to convince him to come to Liverpool. Okay, well at that time, he signed for PSG for €150 million. Now he's available, further down the line, more established, for probably a few quid less. Although his wages, I grant you, his wages will be a bit higher than it was when he signed for PSG. And yet, where's the interest now, John? Huh? No fucking flying around on jets now. No moving mountains to try and sign Kylian Mbappe now. He's already a Nike athlete. So many reasons to sign him. But we won't. Because it's all pure bullshit. And they're over-reliant on Jurgen Klopp's brilliance. And someday Klopp won't be at the club. And FSG will get a massive wake-up call when they realise that the man that's after guiding us to all this success, the man that's brought the best out of these players, isn't around anymore. It's frustrating. Is Liverpool still interested in Jonathan David? The truth is, mate, I don't know. I really don't know. The interest in... Who's the kid again? Sorry, this is after... My own anger is after making me draw a blank here. What's the kid's name again? Jeremy Doku. That's somebody who I'm interested to see if we go back in for, because, as you guys well know, we looked at him when he was younger and he didn't come, and he's went on and he looked very, very good, Jeremy Doku. So, there are still good bargains to be had, and as our friend pointed out a minute ago there in the chat, when we do make these signings, they usually do work. So, there you go, there is some good options there. I missed the super chat. I did indeed. John Fitzgerald said, "Have a point on me, Craig. Great show as always." You're a legend, John. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated, buddy. Now in the summer we can't sign anyone. Still, no, we have signed Canade. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, I'm the first one to rant here and have a little bit of a dig at our owners, but we did sign Canade, and that's a very good piece of business. So I'm not arguing about that, but. Yeah, I mean, where's our big name? If we have all this money and we've got coconut water and we've got all this shit, then, don't piss in the tent and tell me it's raining. Right, let's have a little chat around Nico Williams, because it looks like Nico Williams maybe, I don't want to say trying to force a move, because that makes the lad sound bad, and I don't have anything but the height of respect for Nico Williams. Maybe Nico Williams has looked at a situation at Liverpool and thought that his chances could be limited. So there's, again, a load of talk now that Nico could move on after the Euros. And he's had a decent tournament with Wales so far. Obviously a massive game coming up against Denmark for them. And, look, whatever happens with Nico, I think I'll never knock anybody for wanting to go and play football. Because, careers are short. And when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold in front of you in the pecking order, I can understand why he might look and go, okay, look, as much as I like being here, as great a club as it is, I want to play football. And if that's the case with Nico, I wish him all the best, honestly. If the club can get a number that makes them happy and Nico can find a club that makes him happy, great. I'd wish him every success. But what does not worry me, maybe this is my own naivety, but I don't know enough about Conor Bradley to know if he is going to be the next big thing. But if Klopp rates him, then, who am I to question Kloppo? But is it a matter of Klopp rating him and looking at Joe Gomez as a potential option, or is it a matter of our owners being stingy fuckers? I mean, let's be frank, it's one or the other. I like to think it's Kloppo having belief in Conor Bradley, because I'm an optimist, but, part of me thinks it isn't. Part of me thinks the latter. Jota was frowned at. Look, now I don't know who frowned at Jota, mate. Honestly, I any Liverpool fan that I'm aware of that I've spoken to when Diogo Jota was signed went, oh, I didn't think of that name, but yes, I can see how that fits. Same with Fabinho. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I know every Liverpool fan, but what I'm saying is, in general, the tone that I seen from Liverpool fans around the signing of Diogo Jota was a positive one. But there is another side to that transfer that is probably worth a conversation, and that was allowing Keanu Hoover to go to Wolves, because he looked like a good prospect as well, and we could now be sitting here thinking, okay, if we lose Nico Williams, Keanu Hoover could have been an option, but he isn't an option anymore because we sold him to Wolves, and he's starting to establish himself in that Wolves team now. And yeah, so they're in like, what's the point? What's the point in bringing these young lads through if either they never get a chance or we just end up flogging them on down the line? And right now we've got Sepp Vandenberg, who was on loan at Preston and may go back to Preston on loan. We've got Billy Comedio, another young centre-back who I don't know what the future holds for him. The news looks like 15 million will get a deal done for Nat Phillips if Burnley or Brighton or any of the other interested clubs come in. And look, Brighton may look at this. If they're going to lose Ben White to Arsenal, Brighton may go, all right, well, we'll take your 50 million quid for him and we'll go to Liverpool and pay 15 million quid for Nat Phillips, which will, you know, be a good move for Nat and be good business for Brighton, and, you know, probably good business for Liverpool as well. So I can see that may be happening over the next few weeks as well. What's the latest on Neuhaus? There is no real latest. There's two ways of looking at this. Either he's going to end up at Bayern Munich next year, or the talk about Klopp being interested in him is true, and after the Euros we'll see a bid. I guess time is going to have to be the one that tells the truth there. Right, so Sky Sports in Germany, by the way, have said that Liverpool, and this is really odd, by the way, could open talks with MALEN. Yeah, I could shag Mila Kunis, but I won't. I could win the lottery tomorrow, but I probably won't. So I don't like all of these Liverpool could. We either are or we aren't. We either will or we won't. Stop lying to us. So there was talk that Liverpool is about to open, or could open talks. Yeah, we know that. We've known that for weeks. So there's no news on it, basically, is what you're saying. This shit drives me mad, like. Hey Craig, I found your channel through That's Football. Love the content. I'm a Liverpool fan. Thank you, buddy. Still unaware about what I'll be doing next season. I don't know if I'll stay with Mundo Sporto and push that channel to try and make it my own little version of That's Football, or if I'll go and do more stuff on That's Football. I mean, I'll chat with Mark and we'll see whatever happens. I mean, I'm fine either way. I've enjoyed doing stuff on there during the Euros, and you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I've had fun, and that's all I've ever been in this for, is a bit of fun anyway, and to have a laugh. What have we got? Look at the Irish, you never know, said Rob. You never know, mate. Yeah. Well, look, I have a beautiful wife who turns 40 tomorrow, so I mean, I'm already blessed as far as I'm concerned. What have we got? Could is the word we always hear. Yeah, exactly, mate. That's my point. Could is the word we always hear. I've done the Octavio stuff. I'm just going through. So yeah, so I've spoken about MBAPPE as well. So look, that's pretty much all the news I have. Akone, Vernon, I've honestly not seen anything realistic around Akone. Did well at the under-21 Euros. Looks a good prospect, but I think Jeremy Doku would be a better buy than Akone, and probably cheaper than Akone as well. Any news on Basuma? No, absolutely nothing at all. There's been no news around Liverpool, like, other than clickbait shite and vague phrases. There isn't really any big news around Liverpool transfers, which just adds to all of our frustration, doesn't it? Do you think Femina will start next season? Again, I'll give you the answer I always give when I'm asked a question about any particular player. It depends who we're playing. It depends how late he comes back from the Copa America, and it depends what system and what way Klopp wants to set out. The hope is that we have enough that we can rotate and, you know, give these guys the proper rest to be able to go and challenge on all four fronts next season, because we haven't really made much of a push at the domestic cups. I mean, okay, we did get to the latter parts, but we had to put out a weaker team against Villa because we were busy winning the Club World Cup and a few other things. But yeah, I'd like to see us really try and challenge, because trophies are trophies at the end of the day. Start of each season, we've only got 4. If we're in the European Cup, we've only got 4 to play for. So I'd like to see Liverpool have a squad where we can go out and challenge on all fronts. And ideally, you want 2 players in every single position and very little drop off when you alter and switch those players in and out. Do I like Ollie Watkins? Yeah, I do. I really do. Another possible missed opportunity when he was at Brentford. Villa were the only ones courageous enough to go out there and take a punt on him. And Ollie Watkins has been really good for Aston Villa. And another one I could look at and see, shit, yeah, he could have seen him doing a job at Liverpool, because he's got the energy, the pressing, and yeah, a lot of stuff you'd need. So there you go. Right, again, just kick your man out of the chat. Don't even acknowledge what he's putting in. He's a strange person, isn't he? It's weird. But man, power to you, man. You keep wasting your time putting in your comments, mate, and I'll just keep sitting here waiting for them all to delete them. I mean, you're wasting your own time, fella. Plus, also, keep an eye on your post box, mate, because something might be dropping through your door soon. You know what I mean? You're not that hard to find, dickhead. Right, what else have we got? I'd love Grealish at Liverpool, said Neyman Panton. We'd all love Grealish at Liverpool, mate, but, you know, we're not going to spend the money, so, you know, if pigs could fly and all that stuff. Brad, how are you, buddy? He said, evening, what's the AFCON situation coming season? So it's taking place in January, but we're still in a COVID world, mate, so I you know, can any of us say with any certainty that anything will happen at the moment? I don't know what the situation... Actually, to be honest with you, Bradley, I don't even know what country the AFCON is taking place in. So, you know, I don't know what the situation is regarding vaccinations in any of these countries at the minute, because each country's dealing with it in a different way for obviously loads of different reasons. But the plan is that it takes place in January, and January into the start of February. And if everything goes ahead as planned, what we know is this, that the Liverpool players who could be taking part is Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah and Naby Keita. And worst case scenario, they'll only miss 2 Premier League games and a couple of cup games maybe. So it's not that bad really. Could have been a lot worse. I mean, when I read that it was only 2 Premier League games, I thought, well, you know, that's not too bad actually, because, you know, I'd feared that it would have been a lot more than that. So probably comes at a decent time, but again, it was a January tournament, then it was moved to a summer tournament, now it's been brought back to a January tournament. So, you know, one minute you're thinking it doesn't affect your season, and then it is affecting your season, but, you know, 2 games isn't that bad really when you think about it. Could be a lot worse. Can you please speak about Octavio? Yes, no problem, mate. I can go back over that for you. My pleasure. Right, so there is a report from Correio da Manhã, which is a Portuguese newspaper, that links Liverpool to Octavio, who is a 26-year-old player who Fiorentina and Valencia are apparently interested in. The article goes on to say that he has a €60 million release clause, but if you want to sign him before the end of June, he can be gotten for €40 million. To me, take that with a massive pinch of salt, because we know that Porto want Grujic. I think that Oliveira is the player who they most likely are going to sell to maybe fund the move for Marco Grujic, and I don't know if they're trying to tempt Liverpool into a few other players, because look, Porto are renowned for bringing through and discovering good talent, but the one that would make most sense, I think, to a lot of us wouldn't be him. It would be the Vieira guy, the guy who got player of the tournament at the under-21 Euros. He looks probably the biggest talent there. So, again, I'm not even going to claim to have any more knowledge on him, mate. That's all I know. I haven't seen him play, Philip, no. I haven't seen him play a minute of football, not 1 minute. Can I talk about MBAPPE? Because I missed it. All we know about MBAPPE is this. Marca, who are renowned for being a Real Madrid friendly newspaper, have said that Kylian MBAPPE has let it be known to Paris Saint-Germain that he will not be signing a new deal and that he'd like to move on. Now, he's got 1 year left, so if that's the case, big if, that they've got 2 options. They either sell him this summer or they let him go on a free next year. I guarantee you Florentino Perez is doing everything that he can to try and get Kylian Mbappe to see out that deal, because Florentino Perez, as we know from Sergio Ramos, who rang around some of his Real Madrid teammates according to reports to say don't take a wage cut because he's trying to do that money to bring in Kylian Mbappe. But you also have to think, if you're Mbappe or any player linked to Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, big clubs, no doubt about that, prestigious history, but they do have the Super League stuff looming over them. So UEFA have suspended the investigations at the minute, but still these three clubs are pushing ahead with the belief that the Super League will go ahead. So they aren't guaranteed, any player that goes there, to know that they'll be able to play in the Champions League, or it's a bit more of a risk for a player than perhaps it would have been 2 years ago. So honestly, I don't know. Now, we know Liverpool keeping track of Mbappe. We know everybody has, but you know that's all I have on Mbappe. That's the latest news that's been put out there. But you know, PSG have been very vocal in saying that he won't be leaving on a free, and he won't be sold. So that only leaves one option: him signing a new deal. So I don't know if they're counting up the trucks of money that they're going to be reversing up the Kylian Mbappe's driveway and dumping into his front garden, or if they know something we don't know, or if they're being absolutely pig-headed and just refusing to believe they might lose him. I don't know. But, you know, what we do know is he's got a year left. That's all we know. You can't sign the world's best players every window. I don't know what way you mean that, buddy. I don't know, Jim, if you mean that as in this is a particularly good window because there's lots of talent available, or stop moaning, Craig, we can't sign the world's best players in every window. I mean, my answer to the second one would be, when have we ever done that in a window? And my answer to the first one would be, yeah, it is a particularly good one. There are lots of good players available. Harvey Elliott didn't cost us 40 million. He used to play for Blackburn, so he's not good enough. Harvey Elliott used to play for Fulham and was at Blackburn, and will be good enough, and will be a great piece of business by the football club. So I'm not moaning about Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's going to be quality. I'm looking forward to seeing Harvey Elliott. And you can see then Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, maybe Conor Bradley, Caoimhín Kelleher. You can see the next generation of potential Liverpool players coming through there. As the age of the current profile of the players gets a little bit older, you can see some of the younger talent then coming through and getting their opportunities, which is great news. Which just makes me want Jude Bellingham even more for the same reason. Dugout said the only problem with trying to sign MALEN is that Raiola is his agent. He'll be demanding an agent's fee too, which would, be a great player. Yeah, look, yeah, we know Mino Raiola likes to get his palms greased, as do most agents, and we also know that Liverpool have been amongst the highest payers to agents in transfers over the last 5 years or so. But I'll be lying to you if I said I knew the absolute relationship between Liverpool and Mino Raiola. I really don't know how things are between the two of them at the minute. But you know, at the end of the day, Mino Raiola's job is to do the best thing for his client. And if Danielle Marlon wants to come to Liverpool, then Mino Raiola's his job as the agent is two things. One, get him the best deal possible, but also make sure it happens. Now, what seems to be the case with Mino Raiola's players, and what worries a lot of us, is that they often go to clubs, do 2-3 years, and then go elsewhere. He gets another chunk of money. They get a bump in wages. They get a cut of the transfer fee. You know, rinse and repeat. So that's the worry that a lot of us have when we see a Mino Raiola player coming to our club. We think, oh shit, he's not going to be here that long, because Mino Raiola will want either a huge bump in his salary and a big dirty fee for himself, or he'll look to move the player on to increase his own share of revenue and up his wages. So that's the worry, I suppose, when you're talking about Mino Raiola players. But it's weird, because the players that have worked with Mino Raiola really seem to like him. And I suppose you can easily understand why, if he's making them a shed load of cash. But for us as fans, we want players who are hopefully going to stay here for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and, establish themselves as Liverpool greats. You have a good show, said Stephen Robinson. Thank you, my man. Much appreciated. How do you get all your info? Do I have an inside man at Anfield? Not at all. No. I always say I don't have any knowledge that anybody else doesn't have. I do have a few journalists that I've made friends with over the years, but I never come on and claim to. I'm just somebody who's very studious. I read a lot of articles, listen to some podcasts, watch a lot of football, and I'm really hungry for information. And I suppose it's part of what I have to do here, isn't it? I have to come on and talk about it, so I need to arm myself with as much knowledge as I can. But no, I definitely don't have any inside sources or that, and I've never claimed to. Do I play FIFA? Nope, I don't. Connor's actually managed to get himself a PS5 today, so well done to Connor. Delighted for him. But no, I don't play FIFA, mate. I'm not a gamer at all. Right, look, ladies and gents, what have we been on now? An hour. Wow, that's flown by. Isn't exciting footy the most important thing? Yes, it is, Jason. 100%, mate. And all I ask myself at the end of any transfer window is, are we stronger than when we finished the previous season? If the answer is yes, I'm generally quite happy about life. Would I like us to sign Rafinha? Yes, Rafinha's a fine footballer. I also like Pedro Neto, Jeremy Doku, as I've spoke about recently as well, in these type of positions. There's a few other players as well. There's somebody who I always keep forgetting to mention, and then somebody messages me afterwards, and I go, no, and I forgot it again. So sorry on that one. And again, shout out to our mods who, you know, have my back and your back in the chat all the time. You know, get rid of these idiots that come in with their stupid comments really quickly. And look, thank you. Because our chat being friendly and our chat being the way it is one of the reasons why the channel has continued to grow. So without the hard work of you guys putting in the great comments and the moderators doing what they do, I don't think our channel would be as successful as it has been. So again, I want to take a second to say thank you to all of our moderators. Right, what have we got? Grillu247 said, PSG ain't stupid. They'll take an offer if they think FSG is serious. Big if, I know. It'll likely be a late summer deal for him joining in 22-23. It will be, yeah, you're right. It will be on 20. What year is it now? Yeah, you could be right. In which case, can you imagine if he does leave on a free, mate? Can you imagine the amount of money that he'd get as a signing on fee and wages? Oh, to be in his shoes. Good topic there from Luke Higgins, actually. Before I go, I could spend a few minutes talking about this one. So we've spoken about Nico Williams perhaps moving on, but Luke has made a really good point here, and one that I think I mentioned the other night, but I haven't talked about tonight. Oxlade-Chamberlain to play right back, ? So you may remember, he did this a little bit at Arsenal. He was used in the wing back role. Not as most effective, but it has been spoken about that, yeah, you're right, mate. You know, Gomez can play there. Conor Bradley is highly thought of, but there is a scenario where, particularly with the way we use our fullbacks quite high up the pitch, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain could at a pinch be used in that position. And, you know, if you're looking at the midfielders we have at the club currently, you'd have to say he probably thinks maybe a little bit down the pecking order. But if we can find a position where we can get a fit and healthy Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain into the team more often, why not? Because we know what attributes the lad has. So yeah, I mean, it's a good shout, mate. It's a very good point, and thank you for bringing it up. Hey Craig, great show as always. Any chance of us signing Grealish? Probably about as much as me coming on here tomorrow with a Graham Souness-esque perm, mate, to be honest. Owen McPartland said, well done Craig, I love your content. Thank you. But again, you don't know how much that means to me. It really does mean a lot. All the support really does. So look, just to reiterate, tomorrow, 2 videos coming your way. I won't be live because it's my wife's 40th birthday, and obviously I'm going to be spending the day with my darling wife. So tomorrow I have recorded 2 videos that are going to be going out. One at lunchtime and one in the evening. I'm not sure which order, so, you know, make sure you've got your notifications on. This week's One Football Liverpool news show is coming out. Again, great to work with the guys at One Football. And a video that we made for Manscaped called Your Unpopular Liverpool Opinions, Craig Reacts, or something along those lines, is recorded as well, and that'll be coming out tomorrow. So you guys sent in your unpopular opinions around Liverpool to the Anfield Agenda Instagram account. Connor compiled them all. I didn't get a chance to read any of them, and I reacted to them in real time earlier on today. So yeah, that'll be coming out tomorrow as well. So look, it's been a pleasure as always, ladies and gentlemen. Please do hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can push us towards 111k. Drop a like on the video, and I will see you absolutely amazing, beautiful people on Saturday. Have a cracking day tomorrow. Lots of love to all.